Good day everyone. I'm Rosan Peña and I'm here to discuss the Module 6, Business Operation, Global Strategies. It is when a company wants to compete and expand in the global market. Ito yung mga business na target mag-grow beyond its border like pharmaceutical companies or Microsoft. They offer the same software programs around the world, but they adjust the programs to match local languages. Export strategies. It is used when a company is primarily focused on its domestic operations. So it's a self-explanatory because most of us are familiar with this strategy. Standardization strategy. In other words, it is the ability for a company or business to use the same marketing strategy from one country to the next and across various cultures. For example, Coca-Cola, Apple, and Domino's. Coca-Cola is able to use standard packaging, distribution, and brands in the international markets, wherein their company market its product in a similar fashion to consumers worldwide. Advantages of standardization. People can expect the same level of quality of any specific brand anywhere around the world. Like Zara, kung ano yung product and services na pinaprovide nila in the US, Canada, is the same also in the Philippines. Supports positive consumer perceptions of a product. The best example here is Starbucks. As you can see, pag pumunta ka sa store nila here in QC, may makikita kang foreigner because they know that Starbucks in their country is also the same here. Disadvantages of standardization. Different markets means different preferences. Like yung cow sa India, they treat it as sacred or sagrado. So basically, business that offer a product made of cow is hindi applicable mag-market sa India. Selling one unified product lacks uniqueness. For example, if a restaurant builds its reputation on a varied and exotic menu and then changes to a standardized menu to provide a more predictable customer experience, its former customer may defect to competitors who provide more variety. Multi-domestic strategy. A marketing tactic employed by multinational companies where each country's branch establishes its own marketing strategy based on the nation's particular needs, cultures, traditions, and preferences. For example, in Japan, 7-Eleven allows customers to pay their utility bills at the store. In a company with a multi-domestic strategy, overall management is centralized in the home country, but country managers are given latitude to make adaptations. Companies sacrifice scales efficiencies for responsiveness to local conditions. Companies benefit from a multi-domestic strategy because country managers understand local laws, customs, and tastes and can decide how the best to meet them. Normally, brands remain the same, but some product images are tailored in a way that they fit more accurately the preferences of a given nation's customers. Another example here is Endura Milk. Endura Milk is a company that commercializes milk and milk-based beverages. They currently sell their products only in the US, but they have been exploring the options to expand to Mexico. Since the culture is widely different, they decided to hire a local marketing consulting company to develop the right strategy. The packaging and the distribution have to be considered depending on the demographics of the place. It is usually more expensive to implement and it takes time to research the specific needs and interests of each individual market. Like sa nabanggit ko kanina na Endura Milk, they need to hire a local marketing consulting company to meet the right because the culture of Mexico and US is very different. Transnational strategy. Firms try to balance the desire for efficiency with the needs to adjust to local preferences within various countries. also combines a standardization strategy and a multi-domestic strategy. For example, McDonald's is a giant fast food chain with the same core menus items worldwide, as well as the same brand name, identity, and marketing. However, the company does tweak its product offering for its regional markets. For example, McDonald's offer wine in France, rice burgers in the Philippines, and vegetarian burgers in India. These products are all unique to these markets and reflect the diets and preferences of the local customers. Advantages of transnational strategy. Expanding of business. Of course, it helps the company to expand its business because once a company adopts this strategy, then the whole world is the market for company's products, and it is reach widen from home country to the whole world. And widen the market, higher are the chances of company generating bumper sales, resulting in higher profits for the business. Saving of expenses. Since the company has decentralized business, it can employ as well as using cheap labor and raw material from the country in which it is operating, and hence company will able to save a lot of money on the production side of the business. Hence, for example, if it costs $20 to $25 per hour for producing a good in the developed nation like the USA, then the same thing costs $3 to $5 in developing nations of Asia and Africa region. Disadvantages of transnational strategy. Lack of understanding. The biggest disadvantage of transnational strategy is that company does not have the full understanding of the markets in which company is trying to operate. For example, a USA-based company cannot have a complete understanding about the local markets about the countries like India and China, as the consumers of these countries have a different culture, fashion, and taste when one compares it with consumers of USA. Therefore, lack of understanding about the foreign markets is perhaps the biggest shortcoming when the company is adopting the transnational strategy. Political, legal, and operational risk. Another demerit of transnational strategy is that company is always exposed to political, legal, and operational risk, which are associated with operating in different countries, and if company is not big enough to have resources, time, and money at its disposal for handling this risk, then the whole strategy of doing business in other countries may backfire, resulting in loss for the company. Risk of loss of control. Another demerit of transnational strategy is that there is a risk that company may lose control over the operation of business happening in other countries as decision making is not centralized, which is the case of multinational strategy. In simple words, there is always a risk that company can lose marketing, operational control over the other countries if it is adopting the transnational strategy. Strategy of entry. As a company's business grows and expands, it can reach a point where the executive board has to decide whether or not to enter new markets. International entry strategies. Number 1. Sourcing. The company must decide whether goods will be made in the new region itself or shipped to the new region from existing production, or if goods will be purchased in the new region to be reworked and sold. Number 2. Marketing. The company needs a strategy for marketing to the new region, such as what markets it will enter, what segments are the most important, and whether the marketing strategy will be global or regional. Ownership. Will the new operations be part of the existing company, or will the company reach out for a global partner? Will the operation be licensed or franchise? Are the foreign companies that can be acquired or opportunities for a joint venture? Market entry strategy framework. Exporting as entry strategy. Exporting is directly selling goods from one country into others. Exporting can be direct or indirect. Indirect exporting carries lower risk to the company in general, but direct exporting is recommended for companies that expect international marketing to become a significant part of their operational strategy. Licensing as entry mode. Licensing allows a foreign company to operate using the home company's strategies, technology, and trademarks to produce the home company's product under specific terms. Licensing agreements allow a company the logistical advantage of having physical operations in a new region without having to build production facilities from the bottom up. Partnering as entry mode. Partnering can also be called a joint venture or strategic alliance and occurs when two or more companies agree to invest in a new opportunity in a foreign market. This allows the investors involved to pool their resources both financially and in terms of R&D, critical information, and existing experience. This often occurs when the home company reaches out to the existing company in the foreign region and offers a new opportunity. Acquisition as entry mode. Acquisition involves purchasing an existing company in the new region and integrating it as subsidiary within the parent company. The acquisition of a competitor, supplier, or related business already located internationally can be an ideal way to introduce the company's products to the new market. Acquisition of a local business is one of the fastest ways to enter an international market. It can be difficult to integrate business cultures, and transitioning an acquisition's production to align with the company's strategies can take time. Franchising allows the home company to share the risk with the semi-independent business owner and can better protect trade secrets, but the success of the franchise will heavily depend on the decision made by the franchise team. Choosing an entry strategy. When choosing an international entry method, it all comes back to the three decisions the company has to make about how it wants to approach its expansion. The first point is sourcing. The company needs to decide whether it plans on directly exporting goods from its existing facilities into the foreign markets or if it intends to have some kind of production physically within the new region. If the company does not want to make an investment in overseas production facilities, its choice is then to export its goods from existing plants. If the company is open to foreign production of its usual products, most of other options are available. The next point of decision is ownership. The company needs to decide the level of control it wants over these international pieces. A company that's willing to share control in order to mitigate risk will look at licensing, franchising, and partnering as agreeable options. Companies that desire more control over operations will look at acquisition or direct exporting as more favorable choices. The company also needs to consider the international markets that are being targeted as well as capital available, and much of this particular decision comes from the final point of decision, which is marketing. Marketing and international business. Marketing is key when entering international business. It's incredibly important to get to know the regional laws, regulations, and rules as well as the work culture and new customer base that any new department or subsidiary will require to handle. Familiar example of international business entry. The first one here is Starbucks. Starbucks faced a major hurdle when entering China's markets, as Chinese culture distinctly favors tea over any other beverage. Starbucks focused on marketing its stores as a comfortable place to come and be social. This concept resonated with Chinese market, and Starbucks has expanded successfully into this tea soak market. McDonald's offers franchising options in many countries and has learned that making small changes that appeal to new international customers can have a large effect on success. For example, in France, McDonald's incorporated baguettes on its menu and marketed itself as a coffee shop type venue. where the French could continue to have multiple small meals and socialize. This propelled McDonald's from being a middling market player to big success. And the last one is Citgo. Citgo formed a strategic alliance with Fujitsu, a Japanese company, to help grow its Japanese market share. It decided to co-brand certain products in order to leverage Fujitsu's excellent reputation in IT services with Citgo's broader resource pool and global reputation. This type of agreement benefits both parties and gave Citgo an opportunity to build brand recognition in Japan for other products it might introduce at the later date. Exporting, importing, and counter trade. What is exporting? Send goods or services to another country for sale. Example: consortia are groups of small or medium-sized organizations that are grouped together to market related or sometimes unrelated products in international markets. Benefits of exporting. Number one is increasing your sales potential. While importing products can help businesses reduce costs, exporting products can ensure increasing your sales and sales potential in general. Also, if you have a website to sell your products or services, you have the potential to reach market beyond your immediate border. Increasing profits. Naturally, more customers lead to more sales and increased profits. Addition lang, the advantages of export include job creation, additional opportunity for business growth in international markets, and distributed risk. Businesses that export can enjoy greater revenue and less risk because they are selling their products to a variety of consumers outside the local economy. If the local economy suffers, countries that engage in international trade can still enjoy a profit from their international customer. What is importing? An import is a product or service produced abroad and purchased in your home country. Importing is the flip side of exporting. In addition, there are a variety of reasons for importing goods, one of which is the benefit for the global economy. Medical equipment, smartphones, and many different types of food are just a few products that we rely on every day that wouldn't be possible without imports. The modern world also relies on imports to build sustainable products. Some items like microchips, wires, and oil are imported and used to build or operate local products. Benefits of importing: introducing new products to the market. Many businesses in India and China tend to produce goods for the European and American market. This is mostly due to the size of these markets and purchasing power of the population there. Number two, reducing cost. Many businesses today find importing products, part of products, and resources more affordable than producing them locally. Becoming a leader in industry. Since manufacturing new and improved products is a never-ending process, many businesses worldwide use the chance to import new and unique products before their competitors do. Providing high-quality products. If you choose to base your business on importing products, chances are you are going to get high-quality products. This is due to the fact that manufacturing businesses are very aware that their reputation largely depends on the quality of the items they produce. The difference between import and export is that import is the form of trade in which goods are bought by a domestic company from other countries for the purpose of selling it in the domestic market. On the other hand, export implies a trade in which a company sells goods to other countries which are manufactured domestically. Why is importing and exporting goods important? Exporting and importing helps grow national economies and expands the global market. Every country is endowed with certain advantages in resources and skills. For example, some countries are rich in natural resources such as fossil fuels, timber, fertile soil, or precious metals and minerals, while other countries have shortages of many of these resources. Additionally, some countries have highly developed infrastructures, educational systems, and capital markets that permit them to engage in complex manufacturing and technological innovations, while many countries do not. Imports are important for businesses and individual consumers. Some countries often need to import goods that are either not readily available domestically or are available cheaper overseas. Individual consumers also benefit from the locally produced products with imported components as well as other products that are imported into the country. Oftentimes, imported products provide a better price or more choices to consumers, which help increase their standard of living. Countries want to be net exporters rather than net importers. Importing is not necessarily a bad thing because it gives us access to important resources and products not otherwise available or at a cheaper cost. However, just like eating too much candy, it can have a bad consequences. If you import more than you export, more money is leaving the country than is coming in through export sales. On the other hand, the more a country exports, the more domestic economic activity is occurring. More exports means more production, jobs, and revenue. If a country is a net exporter, its gross domestic product increases, which is the total value of the finished goods and services it produces in a given period of time. In other words, net exporters increase the wealth of a country. Limitations of import and export. It includes extra packaging, transportation, and protection and insurance costs, which build up the total cost of items. Of course, when you are exporting or importing your product, kailangan nakapackage siya ng maayos to transport in another country, so nagkakaroon ng huge of cost of items. Exporting isn't double in the event that the foreign nation prohibits imports. Like dito sa Pilipinas, may mga product na bawal i-import. So basically, bawal din siya ma-import. Like mga hazardous waste, used motorcycle parts, and live piranha. Domestic organizations, which are closer to the client, could serve them better than firms outside their national borders. So there's a limitation on domestic organizations serve better than the firm outside. Merchandises are subject to quality standards. Any low-grade merchandise which is exported will result in country reputation and remarks on countries. So sabi, every merchandise or product na marireceive, let's say tayo mga Pilipino, when we knew that this product is made in China, we constantly think na it's a fake. Kasi we encounter a low-grade merchandise. So ganun yung nagre-reflect sa reputation ng said country. Obtaining licenses and documentations for foreign trade is a difficult and frustrating task. Like yung Bureau of Customs, sila yung mga nag-check ng mga package na i-import and also i-export here in the Philippines. So minsan nagkakaroon ng limitation kapag may mga package na hindi pwedeng export. If you are not careful, you can lose grip on the domestic market and existing customers. It is almost the same to the second one. Once na naka-encounter sila ng low-grade product, nawawala yung trust nila sa business or sa atin as an entrepreneur. What is counter-trade? Counter-trade is part of an overall import and export strategy that ensures a company or a country with limited domestic resources has access to needed items and raw materials. Additionally, it provides the exporting nations with an opportunity to offer goods and services in a larger international market, promoting growth within its industries. Counter-trade explained. Counter-trade can be classified into three broad categories. Number 1 is barter. It is an oldest counter-trade arrangement, and it is direct exchange of goods and services with an equivalent value but with no cash settlement. For example, a bag of nuts might be exchanged for coffee beans or meat. Like for example ngayon, nowadays, nauuso yung barter sa Facebook wherein nagpapalitan ng gamit with no cash settlement. Counter purchase. Unlike bartering, it is an agreement between two persons or companies to buy goods or services from each other, usually at different times. For example, Company A may buy goods from Company B in March and then sell different goods to Company B in April. Counter purchases are made for the mutual benefit of both companies. Offset. The seller assists in marketing products manufactured by the buying country or allows part of the exported products assembly to be carried out by manufacturers in the buying country. This practice is common in aerospace, defense, and certain infrastructure industry. Offsetting is also more common for larger and more expensive items. There are two types of offset. Number one is direct offset. It is an agreement means that the supplier has agreed to buy something from the country awarding to the contract that is directly related to the product the company providing. For example, if Kinley, an American aircraft company, is awarded a contract from France, the company may agree to use steel from France in order to produce the aircraft. The fact that the steel is being used to produce the product that is going back to the country makes the agreement a direct one. An indirect offset. An indirect offset agreement is one where the company agrees to purchase a certain amount of products from the foreign country that may not be directly related to the products being manufactured, often because companies have no need for certain products from the foreign nation. They make deals with other companies. For example, Kinley may not need the type of steel produced in France, but a fast food company could use beef produced from France. Kinley could make a deal with that fast food company to purchase French beef, often to entice the fast food company into the contract. Something else may be offered, such as exclusive rights to serve that company's food in the Kinley cafeteria. Pros to counter trade. Allows for entry into difficult markets. Your product and services may have to compete in a crowded market in the US, but you may find that you have less competition in other countries. Increases company sales where you may not otherwise have business. Each country you add to your list can open up a new pathway to business growth and increase revenues. Overcomes credit difficulties. When trading internationally, it may be a general practice to ask for payment upfront, whereas at home you may have to be more creative in managing cash flow while waiting to be paid. Allows for disposal of declining or surplus products. You may have an outlet to dispose of surplus goods that you're unable to sell in your home market. Gains competitive advantage over competition. Focusing only in the domestic market may expose you to increased risk from downturns in the economy, political factors, environmental events, and other risk factors. Becoming less dependent on a single market may help you mitigate potential risks in your core market. Cons to counter trade. Time consuming. Like for example, unconventional tactic or there will be haggling over the goods trades. So expect a long drawn-out negotiation until all parties are satisfied. Complexity in the nature of negotiations. Questions like, what should you do with the goods being offered? Higher transaction cost, including brokerage for instance. Cost can quickly add up, especially while looking for a buyer for the goods, commission to middlemen, and so forth. Logistical issues, especially if commodities are involved. And lastly, greater uncertainty on the value of the goods being traded and uncertainty on the quality of the goods.
Good day. To be continued the topic of Module 6, I'm Chrislyn Joy E. Calinaw. The export management companies can act as An external export sales department which represents the product of its clients along with various other non-competitive manufacturers. The relationship with its client is established through an international sales representative contract, an agent for those exporters that are domestic. The EMC establishes the marketing presence in foreign markets, soliciting orders from foreign customers in the name of the manufacturer. Invoicing is done of the name of the manufacturer, and the EMC helps the manufacturer with all the details of the export transaction. The EMC may suggest export price, but the principal has the final say on even whether to accept the order. The relationship with his client is established through an international commercial agency contract, a consulting company with a broad experience and knowledge in the field of exports. Export management consultants typically do not hold title to exported goods, making money instead from commissions paid on each export. The relationship with his client is established through an international consulting contract, an exclusive distributor on a buy and sell basis. The EMC buys manufacturer at a set price and resell to foreign customer at a price established by the EMC. In this case, the EMC is responsible for invoicing and bears the risk on the non-payment. It is very important to note that the EMC is acting as a distributor. The manufacturer may have no control over the export price and not even know the foreign clients are. The relationship with its client is established through an international distribution contract. Export management companies are similar to trading companies but have some important difference because trading companies specialize mainly in international purchasing and selling on behalf of foreign clients, while an ETC has no loyalty to a particular manufacturer. They are seeking the best terms for their clients, usually buy products in big orders and pay cash to suppliers. Identify what foreign buyers want to spend their money on and then searches domestic sources willing to export in comparison with export management companies which attract buyers. Identify the sources of export management company. Export Management Company or EMC. Independent private company that acts like an export department for several non-competing manufacturers and suppliers. Export management companies can be quite varied. They can be either local or foreign owned and operate on either a commission as an agent, a fee basis as a consultant, or taking possession of the goods for direct export. The EMC also has the ability to appoint sales representative in importing countries, promote goods and service of its clients, arrange transportation, provide warranties and after-sales service, and extend import credit. So, what is an export management company? Example for US. An EMC is an independent firm which, in effect, acts as the exclusive report sales department for non-competing manufacturers. Their loyalty is to their US manufacturers and they are working hard to develop a successful export business. An EMC functions in foreign markets just as sales representative or exclusive wholesaler functions for a manufacturer in the US market. An EMC usually has a formal agreement with manufacturers whom the EMC often calls the principal or the factory to manage their exports.
That would be all. Thank you.